Calvin and Lori, Marco Rubio joining me right now. And Senator, I understand you were just briefed by the FBI. What's the latest that we know about this?
Well, right now they're obviously in the mode of gathering evidence. They're trying to establish a motive and also a method. I mean, they're just going to trial. I mean, unlike some of the other unfortunate tragedies we've seen around the country, this may be the first of the school shootings that I can recall where the assailant is actually captured alive and will stand trial. So we'll learn a lot more about what was behind this. And I think I'll let the authorities do some of it, but I think you'll learn over the next few hours that this is there'll be a lot of questions asked about how it got to this point.
And you're already hearing that this was definitely done intentionally to maximize the loss of life. Every indication says that.
Well, I mean, clearly it's my view, and I think the initial view of many in law enforcement, that this wasn't someone that just got upset this morning and ran over there and decided to do this overnight. It certainly employed tactics that were designed to get as many people as possible, and you'll learn more about that over the next few hours. But there'll be a lot of questions. This is as I said, I mean, there's going to be some twists and turns here over the next couple of days.
Senator, what are your thoughts? We just spoke with Senator Nelson, and the first thing he said was, why Florida? We had Pulse in 2016, June 2016. We had the airport, January 6th of 2017, and this now.
Yeah,
what is going on?
Part of it's a big state with a lot of people, and so that's part of it, obviously. The more people you have, the more incidents you can potentially have. All those cases are different. The Pulse attack was a radical Islamic terrorist. The airport case was someone who was traveling. This case we'll learn more over the next few days, and the public will learn more. And there'll be some tough questions that some folks will have to answer about how it got to this point. But it's just one of those days you imagine, as a parent or even as a school official, you pray will never happen. You prepare for it. It's happened in other places, but today is that terrible day that you hope never happens.
And already people are coming out saying that we need to do more to try to prevent these. What really can Congress do to help prevent this?
And I respect that. I just say that first we have to learn the details. Is there a law or a program that could have prevented this particular or specific attack? The second is, so we need to learn those details. But to pretend that there's an easy answer to this is not fair. I mean, the psychology of a person is a very complicated thing. How we react to how we see someone when they're doing certain things, and what we do about it. I mean, there'll be a lot of questions to ask in that regard, whether it's where's the family to, school officials will have to answer questions, and at the end of the day, however he obtained these weapons will have to answer questions. So all of these things that we have to look at holistically, but we need to know the facts, and we are just a few hours removed from this. We're still learning more details, and I think law enforcement is still learning more details.
So one of the big questions everyone has is, when do we address this? The president saying right after the tragic mass shooting in Las Vegas that now was not the time to talk about it. But since then, the president really hasn't spoken about what to do about those bump stocks that several states have gone ahead and taken measures against, but still no national legislation. When is the time to talk about this, and what can we possibly do?
Well, it's never the wrong time to talk about what you can do, but there's no evidence of bump stocks being used in this particular case.
No, I'm just talking about Las Vegas, for example.
So my point is that in the end, I mean, it's not just when to do something about it, but what do you do about it? I mean, whatever it is we do has to prevent it. And as I've always said, if there's something out there that we can do, whether it's a law or a program or both, of course we're going to be open to that, but it's got to work. It can't just be something that makes us feel good. And that moment will come, and we'll learn. As we learn from the details of this case, as we've learned from others, there may be things. We've learned that our background check system is broken when the attack happened recently with a former veteran who should have been identified. The bump stock issue, many people hadn't even heard of one of those things before, up until what happened in Las Vegas. So, and in the case of the Pulse shooting, this was an individual that had not once but twice been looked at by the FBI, and somehow had gotten off the list as someone that should have been watched. So from each one of these horrible tragedies, we learn about things we could have done to prevent it, and I imagine we'll learn from this one as well.
I know you're already in touch with the FBI. Have you spoken to Sheriff Israel or any of the authorities down there? What is it that you're going to be doing over the next 24 hours?
Well, we've obviously talked to the superintendent of schools, who's just devastated. We've exchanged calls with the sheriff, but I know he's busy in the middle of this investigation and all the work that they're doing now. I've left a message as well for the mayor. But Parkland, again, I know these folks down there are busy. Our most important obligation now is to ensure that whatever resources we can be providing for these families, as we learned after Pulse's exam. People don't think about these things, but sadly, some of these victims may have relatives overseas who need to come into the country for arrangements of funerals and the like, and that's a terrible thing, but it's something we've been able to be helpful in the past. But most importantly, just ensure that all the federal resources they need are available for investigation, for technology, whatever it is they need. This is a local government investigation, but the FBI and the federal officials stand ready to support them in whatever their needs are.
And of course, you will make sure that Florida gets everything we need, as usual, as you have in the past.
Right. Well, certainly. I mean, and again, this is a national story, but we want to make sure that whatever the FBI and all these other agencies can do, and they will do it. I mean, the FBI has a local presence, and by the way, with all this news out there about the FBI and so forth, I mean, this is just an example of how extraordinary our men and women in law enforcement are. It's just another example of how we need to be supportive of them from the federal level on down. They do extraordinary work, and they save lives today.
All right, Senator Marco Rubio, thank you once again for talking to us, sir. Thank you very much. Lori Kevin, I'll send it back to you right now. That's the very latest from Senator Rubio. And throughout the night, we're going to be talking more with Senator Rubio and Senator Nelson about what Congress has done in the past and what they will do in the future to possibly prevent something like this from happening.
The one and only